Chapter 3. The Road to Fourspire. The weeks blurred together in relentless training. Stone taught him survival, how to fight when exhausted, injured, and outnumbered. Every time Zeno thought he'd reached his limit, Stone pushed him further. Your enemies won't care that you're tired. Shadow taught him to disappear, to move through a room and catalog every exit, every hiding spot, every tactical advantage. Hours in the forest, learning to track and to hide, until Zeno could sometimes, just sometimes, evade Shadow's pursuit for more than a few minutes. Rose taught him to read people, how posture revealed comfort or tension, how breathing patterns changed when lying, how to ask questions that seemed innocent but revealed everything. The best interrogations don't feel like interrogations, she said. They feel like friendly conversations where you just happen to learn what you need. By the 6th week, the lean boy from his father's yard had developed harder muscle, sharper reflexes, and a wary awareness that never quite turned off. His overall endurance had increased significantly, although the scar across his chest still ached. He had learned to make it a strength, using the altered balance in ways opponents wouldn't expect. On the final morning, the three allies gathered with serious expressions. Final test week, Stone said. Stone's test was brutal. Survive. A full-intensity sparring match for 5 minutes. Zeno lasted 3 before Stone had him pinned. You didn't win, but you survived longer than I expected. That's what matters. Shadow's test came without warning. Zeno woke to find him gone, and a note. Find me by sunset, or start over. 7 hours of tracking before he finally spotted Shadow sitting calmly on a boulder, waiting. Rose's test was the most unnerving. Extract information from her while she played a merchant secretly working with criminals. He succeeded, barely, but only because she gave him a subtle hint when he was about to fail completely. That evening, they gathered for the last time. You can't stay here forever, Rose said gently. We've taught you what we can in the time we have. The rest, you'll have to learn as you go. Stone presented basic traveling gear. Shadow gave him lockpicks and a concealed knife. Rose provided a pouch of coins. You'll need money to travel. What do I do now? Zeno asked. Stone pulled out a bundle wrapped in cloth items from his father's hidden room. A thick journal filled with Zenith's handwriting, a pair of silver contact lenses in a protective case, leather gloves with metallic threads woven through the fingertips. Your father's technique book, Rose said softly, and the tools he created to use them. Stone added a folded paper, a list of names in 2 columns, allies and enemies, and one name right in the middle. He pointed to a circled entry with a note in Zenith's handwriting. Seek out if in danger. Old Master, Fourspire. Fourspire? Zeno asked. Tournament City, Shadow said. About a week's travel from here. Famous for seasonal fighting competitions. Your father wanted you to find this person if something went wrong, Rose said. Someone he absolutely trusted. Stone spoke the phrase that had been drilled into Zeno over the past weeks. If you're ever in real danger, say these words. Silver runs through the garden. A special mission will appear on our league sleeves, and we'll come find you. League? Zeno asked. Shadow spoke what they'd been holding back. Your father was part of an assassin's guild that operates in the shadows. We're all members. And like it or not, you're walking into that world now. The revelation should have shocked him. After everything he'd learned, it made perfect sense. The next morning, as dawn broke over the forest, Zeno stood at the edge of the safe house clearing with his pack secured and his father's journal tucked safely inside. Stone clasped his shoulder briefly. Shadow gave a small nod. Rose's smile was warm but tinged with concern. "Good luck, kid," Stone said. "Try not to get yourself killed. Remember what we taught you," Shadow added quietly. "And remember," Rose said, "sometimes the best weapon is knowing when to fight and when to walk away." The first real test came on the third day. Zeno heard voices ahead, rough, loud, accompanied by someone pleading. He moved off the path, using Shadow's techniques, and spotted 4 men surrounding a merchant's cart. "Please," the merchant was saying, hands raised. "Take what you want. Just let me go." "Oh, we will," one bandit said with a cruel laugh, "after we decide if you're worth keeping for ransom." Zeno's hand moved toward his knife. 4 armed men against 1 unarmed merchant. His first impulse was to help, but Rose's voice cut through his thoughts. Sometimes the best weapon is knowing when to fight and when to walk away. 4 against 1. He'd barely survived his last real fight. Yet, as he watched the bandits rough up the merchant, something hardened in his chest. Not reckless courage. Cold calculation. What would Stone do? Find the tactical advantage and exploit it. Zeno circled the group, moving with quiet steps. The bandits were focused on their victim, confident in their numbers. They didn't even post a lookout. Professional fighters would never make that mistake. He studied them with Rose's teachings. 1 man seemed to be the leader. 2 were clearly followers. The 4th was dangerous, quieter, watching with cold calculation rather than cruel enjoyment. Zeno picked up a rock and threw it into the bushes opposite his position. All 4 bandits whirled toward the sound. He emerged behind the leader and struck the pressure point at the base of the skull, one of the knockout techniques his father had taught him. The leader dropped. The other 2 followers spun in shock. Zeno was already moving, using Stone's momentum drills. A strike to 1 man's wrist sent his weapon flying. A sweep sent the other sprawling. But the quiet one was already returning, pulling a wicked knife. "You're trained," the man said, "but you're just a kid." He moved fast. The knife came in low and deadly. Zeno barely deflected it, and the bandit's blade caught his arm, opening a shallow cut. They circled each other. The 2 followers scrambled to their feet, preparing to join their companion. 3 on 1 now. Then the merchant moved. With surprising speed, he grabbed a thick branch and smashed it across a follower's head. The man went down hard. 2 on 2, the merchant shouted. The remaining follower looked between his unconscious leader, his downed companion, and the armed stranger. He ran. That left just Zeno and the quiet bandit. The man lunged. Zeno sidestepped, but not quite fast enough. The knife caught his arm again, deeper this time. Pain shot through him, but Stone's training kicked in. Pain is information, not defeat. Zeno stopped defending and attacked. He struck the pressure point at the back of the knee. The bandit's leg buckled. Before he could recover, Zeno struck his throat. Not a killing blow, just enough pressure to cut off air temporarily. The bandit staggered, gasping. Zeno followed with strikes to the shoulder and skull. The man dropped unconscious. It was over in seconds, but Zeno's heart hammered like it might burst. His arm bled freely, and his hands shook with adrenaline. "That was incredible," the merchant said, rushing over. "I'm Garrett. I trade in fabrics and rare goods between territories." Zeno. Garrett cleaned and bound Zeno's wound while they tied up the unconscious bandits. "Where are you headed?" Fourspire, the tournament city? Garrett's eyebrows rose. I'm heading that direction myself.
You're welcome to travel with me, safety in numbers. And after what you just did, I'd feel safer with you around.
Over the next few days traveling together, Zeno learned more about the world beyond his isolated home than he'd known existed. Garrett talked constantly about the tournaments, the political complexities of Valdris's fractured territories, the opportunities and dangers of a city built around competition. Fourspire is special, Garrett explained. Neutral territory. The tournaments are so important that everyone agrees to leave them alone. It's one of the few places where people from different territories can meet without weapons drawn. By the time they approached Fourspire on the 5th day, Zeno had a plan forming. The name on his father's list. The old master who might help him. The spring tournament that Garrett mentioned, still 3 weeks away. An opportunity to test himself and maybe, just maybe, find the allies he needed. As the massive arena came into view, rising above the surrounding landscape, the journey was almost over. The search for answers was about to begin.